shape now that I.
So essentially, I felt like this was a two-piece agenda item that we could discuss. The first was how we can work on getting out information for our athletic and artistic events to the community. I think we've done a great job in improving that with our social media page. I was curious what we're doing aside from that for members of the community who maybe aren't looking at our Facebook page. So that was the first part. And then the second part actually came from a discussion Mr. Snyder and I were having at, is it Senior Awards, I think? The Senior Awards ceremony, regarding donations of equipment and instruments and things of that nature to the district. But I guess let's start with the first piece, which is just what are we doing well in terms of getting out information with upcoming events? Is there anything that we could be doing better, things of that nature?
So what we've done is we have a fine and performing arts calendar for K-12 for the district. For the winter concert season and now for the spring concert season, we've had a very good thing going where I would share that document with Mr. Monroe. He would make a beautiful document in Canva.
That's the new word.
Yes, Canva. And then that was shared on our social media. And I believe on our social media, there's even specific upcoming events where each one of those has its own tab, if I'm not mistaken, on our website. To expand that, we've had conversations. I would like to see that on our district website as well, in addition to our social media from it, because then members that don't use the Facebook will be able to go on and go on to the.
And we just had a meeting.
Yeah, so if I may.
Yeah.
Be a little creative for a moment. So I have a feeling a lot of your inquiries, just looking at the agenda, are gonna thread through what kind of got bumped last, which is our vision for improved web presence and communications.
Okay.
So to what Mr., if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
So July 1st, we're
Very excited.
yeah, we're very excited to report that, and this is, I'm not just hijacking the agenda. We're excited to begin the sunsetting of our current web service. And that's not just by our decision, even though we've been looking at this, it's so old that it's not even serviceable anymore because the company isn't even hosting it, and that includes the Blackboard Connect service, which we all know that we're dying to move on from.
Right.
One of the features of, and I out of respect for Mr. Feldman, I don't want to misspeak, so if you wanted me to just say that we're still in the design phase, but we are in the process of July 1st actualizing it. And the scope of the project is going to be about 6 to 10 weeks, so it's going to be a major summer. But one of the features that this new web service or website hosting is really the same company, it's just different services, is that it's going to allow us to embed not just our social media feeds, but an actual calendar.
Okay.
Which, you know, and if I understand the way that the network or, the networking of the calendars works is that there would be local control at each building that would then push into this master calendar and then, which would then become visible to the public. Now, again, this is still a digital only solution,
Right.
but it does make it exclusive to social media, which currently, admittedly, the primary only source, other than email and word of mouth, has been Facebook events. So the new web service will allow us to not only embed social media feeds on the homepage, like many websites do now. So if we post something on Facebook, it will automatically push to our district website. But the same with calendar. And the new messaging service, if I understand correctly, it's called Messenger XR, allows us to use the calendar mechanism with that alerts. So like if there was a concert that day, it would be this whole Blackboard Connect and, you know, hope that the formatting is horrendous. And it should, basically, we're going to automate things. And the other thing, it's going to give increased access to more local administrators. So there can be more communications, you know, not just catch all, hey, we're doing this to all the 9,000 people on our mailing list. We can target specific grade levels, different parties. And we just think it's going to allow us to clean up not just the breadth of our outreach, but also the specificity of it, and also align it to actual calendar so that you can integrate with your mobile device. And that's the other thing is this will be a mobile first. they championed this new idea as a mobile first site. So all of these calendar features can interact directly with your iOS or.
So you can not input it, it's the word, like have it go directly,
Yeah.
sync it onto
Yeah,
your
that's
own
the idea.
calendar as an additional calendar. I feel like import, maybe that's what I. Import, yes. I have some technological knowledge, but it definitely always has room for improvement. Mr. Payne.
I have a question. Can you import it into, say, the senior television stations or the senior center? If you want to go out to more community outreach, which is my.
Like your local channels?
Yes, the local channels and the senior center has a huge, and I'm just gonna blank out like you did,
Network?
fan base.
Yeah.
You mean like the actual events themselves or
Yes.
the
Actual
calendar?
events and calendar themselves, and Mr. Barandika with sports or any kind of things here. Offer some transportation if they can't get here and offer a discounted ticket price to get some of your seniors down into your, and then they'll tell somebody else and they'll say, how about if the three of us go to that play that the middle school is putting on? Or how about, three guys are talking on the golf course and they're saying, Monroe's playing, their baseball team is really good.
I wonder if that's an opportunity to look at shared service. I know the township has some
Something,
transportation.
They already have fabulous transportation.
Yeah, transportation is always we thought. as you
Yeah,
know.
because we don't have it budgeted for it, it would be
Well,
cost us,
well-
but the senior center has
They
their
have
own.
their own transport. Let me tell you something. We talk about buses and bus drivers. I'm on the commission there, same difference.
Yeah.
Their bus drivers drop constantly. So, I mean, they have
Not dropping.
issues too.
Yeah, Mr. Ray.
Well,
oh,
Mr. Barandika, do you have your
If I could
CDL
just-
license?
So, Mr. Payne, to directly answer your question, the new broadcast server that, Eddie
Is a
Day
shared
now-
service agreement with,
Which was the result of the shared service agreement.
Yes.
One of the features is going to be, our ability to stream more directly with the local area channels.
so that'll.
If we were to create, an account, like, for example, that winter concert or spring concert series calendar, as it should be, obviously able to be pushed onto a loop into that server, which
Yes.
the challenge is that you just gotta have to hope that they're tuning in at a certain point in time to see it, but,
Right.
I
I think,
don't know, but you know what? I still think you have to make an effort.
I also do
You
feel
can
like,
get 5 or 6 people out of that loop.
right.
And then next time it's gonna be 10 people. I just think the more we get out. to
And I think you're 100% right, your answer is yes, it can be done.
it can be done.
So it can be
And it
done.
will be done. And the other thing with the new broadcast server and some of the programmatic changes we've made starting this year with the addition of new broadcast and TV production interns is this is going to increase our ability to bring content into the households much more, increase it significantly, including athletics. But just even community events and the very nature and purpose of the additional video production interns that we added last school year was to do more community-based, what did she call it? Just, more newsy type thing, not just, hey, the robotics team did this, the sports team did this, but more community happening, not just
Right.
restricted to the school. And our purpose is from a curricular standpoint is we're teaching broadcasting and journalism. So, but we can do that simultaneously while providing a service to the community and making them more aware of the things that are happening.
And it can also fall into the committee tomorrow night, the
Yep,
Citizens Advisory Committee.
yeah, it all threads through that, and
And
that's
all
where we
threads through there.
leverage.
Yes. Are you gonna be there tomorrow then?
Tomorrow night, just because of a personal conflict, I won't be there, but Dr. Lehman and I briefed today.
Okay.
I think we were. he was
I mean, it does go right into
Right.
it,
So
so.
just to go really quick, for athletics, I know we also have the agreement. I think it's just for the high school sports, because I believe we discussed
That's
it at
correct.
this board meeting. Is that the different?
Superman Puddle and the other one.
Is that something that we can have then put on that television as well? So if seniors are at home and they're unable to come to an event, but they want to watch it, is that's
I can check to see, I don't know how it would sync to the broadcast, but I know for sure that what we're trying to do for this year is make sure that the games that are at the main turf, that they can be live streamed. Again, it's something that wouldn't cost, anyone to watch, which is a great addition for us to have. We currently do have that in our gymnasium, so we use it for volleyball and basketball. But we have worked with Mr. Feldman to try to get everything running up at the stadium as well. And to kind of touch up on some of the other points from earlier, couple initiatives that we're kind of running right now. So Right now, we are adding some stuff to the purple calendar at the high school to kind of get, some of that information out to the parents. Dates like, parent meetings, physical dates and
That's good.
types of things, which we were not doing before. In particular with website and all those types of things, we are doing a little bit of an overhaul of the actual website. It does sync with our calendar that we have for athletics. It's not a calendar that we manage at the district level. It's basically just what we use conference-wise in order to, develop our schedules. But the main website that we have for athletics is going to be a major focus for us this year to try to get as much information and content out there. Mr.
And that would be an example of how the calendar that's controlled by the GMC in your office, we would then be able to set privileges where the events that we would like, the public may not be interested in a practice schedule, right? For example, but, your events, your competition events, we could set it so those would push to the master calendar and be available. And before I forget, the other item about the broadcast server upgrade, which will be significantly different from the previous one, is there's going to be an on-demand feature. So if where it used to just be kind of looping, where you would have to catch the game,
So cool.
you'd be able to, like the same way you would go on Prime or Netflix, you'd be able to choose your
Hulu,
content. What's that?
Hulu.
Hulu, of course. And it would also work, anything on the broadcast server that was on the Monroe, whatever it was.
Peg,
Yeah,
Peg channel.
will now also be accessible from your phone, like an app, and also in an on-demand feature.
Wow.
So we think that this will help get more content into households,
Yeah.
specifically for those that don't want to use the YouTube. It won't even be a YouTube option anymore because the broadcast server has its own.
Which we're very
And
excited
which is
about.
nice, because now we can cut all of the third-party people out altogether
Yep.
and take control of which
This
is.
is something that has been needed for years and we're very excited about
Just
it.
to confirm really quick, the athletic website, is that a completely different domain than the district website?
It is a separate domain, and typically what we do is we link it to our main website, so when they click on athletics, it goes to that website. So
Okay,
we really have three areas where we try to reach the community through. One being our main website, which displays those calendars. It displays the link to buy tickets. And something new that's on there now is gonna be areas to kind of put up like articles and news, which we're gonna try to link them to the interns, the athletic interns, to see if they can create some of that content. We have Facebook and Twitter, and then I know, on a weekly basis, when Dr. Higgins reaches out to the students, he does typically include, to the calendar there as well, so it does get out to everyone, but, we're obviously open to any other ways to reach out to the community as well.
And
Mr. I have a question coming from like the Jamesburg side. How do we get in to know? Or like, do we
How would we
like
provide a
educate
concept?
to eighth graders to like, you should be looking here? Or is there a special like email you need to use, or once they're here, just, I feel like there's a lot of things that happen that we don't necessarily know
Well,
about.
I could speak on this because it's something that we started, if I may. So I work excellent, I had an excellent relationship with Dr. Valani. So when I came on board 2.5 years ago, one of my goals was to embrace Jamesburg so that in eighth grade, they already feel like they're ours.
Yeah.
So we started doing this. So how we do it is, we don't have the ability, which would be great, if we could do the streaming, but instead, and Mr. Moraldo does this with me. So now, under his department, which is now Mr. Snyder's department, but now he has these other things under his department. What we do is we set dates. We go to Jamesburg, instead of going to Jamesburg, like at the very end, we go more than once. We now bring teachers there to discuss all these different opportunities. I've also linked my head nurse, which is Ms. Romaldo, directly with Dr. Valani, so that way they know about anything sports
Great.
related. Yes, no, we are all totally on top of it. The other thing is we have a health fair here. The kids come over, they're part of it. They used to be part of our trip, but then it was a major cost, so we were trying to work out ways. The other thing that I work directly with Ms. McDonald is we provide the transportation as,
Yes, we always appreciate that.
it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. We really want to view you guys as Falcons, baby Falcons, and then you grow to be our Falcons. So we're really trying hard. Mr. Moraldo has done a great job where he works with with Dr. Higgins, of course, and Dr. Cortelli, so that we give them, I'm gonna use the word fair. It's almost like we give them an elective, a scheduled
It's
fair.
exactly what it is. And if I can open house.
We do something that was never done years ago, and it's great because we want the kids come to us and they have so much ability, and sometimes they don't know their own abilities and they don't know that they can be in this class and that class. So we started it really early and we did it all this year.
Yeah, we try to stay ahead of the high school scheduling, timeline. But we were actually very surprised when we started going over there a couple of years ago, how little, we were very disheartened, on our end, because we felt like we should have been doing more about communicating, what is available to incoming eighth graders from GMB. But we're gonna continue with what we've been doing, but maybe, one of the things we can do, because our ability to push out content is becoming.
Maybe we could tape it and
We
provide.
could put, well, now with if I have to learn a little bit more about the broadcast server from Ms. Miller and Mr. Lotta, but my understanding is that if we were to create like, one of Dr. Higgins' videos that he makes about the program of study,
Right,
we should be able to, I should just be able to share that with Dr. Vellani, who then could turnkey it.
right. Because
And-
you don't have the same access, but maybe we just go one step more to give you extra access.
The other thing we've learned about, excuse me, I'm sorry, Dr. Beck.
I was just gonna say, it sounds like the new website should be good too, because I have looked and I'm not really sure where to find it.
Yeah, our website right now.
Like, I know you mentioned that we have like 9,000 subscribers, and I know parents generally are subscribed once they're
Mhm.
enrolled
Mhm.
in the district. But I'm wondering if
We can get Jamesburg subscribers.
right, if Jamesburg, when they're enrolled in their district, can be added, I don't know if legally if it's allowed, because I know there's a rule about mailing lists, but that way, if there are these upcoming events, then especially at the high school level, let's say,
Oh, yeah, and it would be interesting because there are so many instances where, well, obviously outside of the school's domains, we share programs regularly, rec programs.
Right, right.
So I have received, there are a lot of times where families that we just get to know through various programs ask if they could attend this and no, yes, of course. Of
course.
But I definitely think over the years, as technology has made our communities smaller, so to speak,
Mhm.
we're finding there's definitely more integration happening at an earlier time period with the Jamesburg community. But I definitely think that there's a way that we can improve on general awareness of programs. And what we've quickly learned is that eighth grade is too late, particularly with how competitive it's getting, not just in Monroe, everywhere, kids are starting to think about programs and eighth grade preparation, seventh and sixth grade. So I definitely think it would be worth exploring ways to get down to GMB at an earlier
So
time.
maybe that's a conversation that I'll have with Dr. Belani. We try and talk on Tuesday, sometimes it's once a month, sometimes it's twice a month, sometimes this a month. And we can have that conversation about perhaps, how we started the health fair now that they come. So maybe we look at something that goes on in sixth grade so that they're truly maybe.
We talked about, all the co-curriculars.
Yeah,
because
I
all of our
think might
discussions
be-
have been trying to
might be good, because then they hit the ground running and it was funny because we knew we made a difference when the students that sit at my liaison meetings, at the time, this is going back when I was, I don't know, 3 years ago, and they were saying how her cousin went on the trip and really felt like a falcon. Like, in other words, it really, these little things for the children really make a difference.
right.
And I think it's something we could absolutely elaborate on, and we could even look at,
If I can add something for
Sure.
athletic also, so, we met, we brought all of our fall coaches over to meet the student athletes, to talk to them about the programs that we have to offer, and I spoke with one of our coaches there, and also told me, if next year we want to have like a parent meeting, in Spanish, I'm bilingual, so it'd be very easy for me to be
that would be great.
able to do that, to make sure that they're.
I think that would be great.
Well, that would be very simple for us to be able to reach out to them.
Yeah,
Mr.
and-
Snyder,
and-
go ahead.
No,
Oh, no, I think you're ready.
On the, I'm something about that, but just on the Jamesburg end, so one of my goals, having finished my first year in this, is I want to integrate in music and make a connection between Jamesburg and Monroe. We tried a year ago, schedules just didn't work out, but eventually, I don't want to give away too many of the surprises, of course, because it could be a surprise element. But eventually, one of my personal goals is eventually doing some side-by-side performances at our middle school.
That would be
Because
lovely.
then, when they get up to high school, they'll be playing together, and hopefully this will encourage some of our Jamesburg musicians to really, want to be a part of our symphonic band, our marching band, and our high school
Yeah.
programs. So middle school is the place to do it. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away because then it won't be a fun surprise and next year. But that is one of my personal goals, to make that connection there. So, so I will work through, obviously, through Dr. Chanley and Dr.
Absolutely.
Lehman and make that connection.
So just really quick,
Yeah.
and because I know you're gonna have to head out soon. The other question I had about the communication was less of an electronic and more paper. Whether it's, I know like the seniors center has its own newsletter, but then I also know like each of the active adult communities, they have a newsletter. I actually saw my mom's on her kitchen table the
So
other
does
day, I
mine.
was reading, yeah. But I don't know if we have I think we had discussed this maybe like a while back, maybe it was around the referendum time, a point of contact for each of those communities. I know we
We do.
have a contact for.
I think part of the problem is we'd have to look and say, no, because Mr. Moraldo wears many hats, but I don't know time-wise if you would be able to do that on a monthly basis, or if we could give that to, like, in other words, to prepare the content. Someone has to prepare the
Like
content.
a state of the district.
Right, well, I was also even thinking if we have like the athletic calendar. I
Oh,
mean, I
that
guess
would
it's
be like a
or the
calendar.
performing arts calendar, showing like
So
that.
maybe we can have your secretary.
I can develop weekly schedules, like generate them, it's a PDF form that I can develop. I
Maybe we could just-
Actually usually send it out to all
Yeah, I get it.
staff so that they know what we're doing.
Perhaps we send it out to the contacts. I'll see if the contacts, my contacts, the contacts I
Right,
had,
right.
for- not mine, the contacts I had for when we were on tour,
Mhm.
for the referendum. If they're still viable, maybe I'll speak with Ms. Casansino and see if she could do it to take it off his plate. And then if you could give it to her, then perhaps she could just send it. What they do with it, they do with it. So we send it to all of the HOAs, and if they're able to include it in the newsletter, they include it.
Right.
But I'm the age, not gonna say,
Oh my-
adult
Active
active
communities.
communities.
It used to
I
be,
have
it used to
so
be
much
PRCs,
many
it
times.
used to be PRC's planned retirement.
I haven't said it
That's why-
again since that night. you know?
That's hard.
To me, not my children, but he does.
Oh.
The adult, like, I think, I just got my Rossmore magazine last
I got
week.
mine last week.
So I don't know if they're monthly, and I know if you want to put anything in the senior center stuff that goes out, it has to be at least a month ahead of time.
Yeah, so
She already told me that,
I
Nancy.
have schedules, that's like, I already have my schedules for the fall for the
Yeah.
most part.
But that's what
The
you
only
need to get them
caveat-
way ahead.
So let's get together and let me,
Subject to change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Steve, I'll look at my list, share it with you with Flora, that's Ms. Cat, that's the
Yeah.
secretary, and then we can see what we have scheduled already.
Yes, and I will add to that, we already have the fine and performing arts calendar for next year set and all the dates. And just what I was going to, someone was gonna say before is, another one of my goals is, sometimes it's gonna be impossible, but what I included are our fine and visual arts and also our theater, folks in this calendar this year. What I'm trying to do is trying to avoid more than one arts event happening on the same night. Sometimes it's very hard, but for instance, this year we had an art show with a concert. I want every event to really have its own night. We
Right.
might overlap sometime, but maybe the times can do it, but I wanted to get all of them together on that, so we can blast that.
There's an event in there right now.
Well,
You should be on that
Correct.
get together with the
Yeah.
sports,
Correct.
with that, with that.
it can actually get tricky for parents. I mean, I'm only starting to experience now where Mill Lake has an event and then there's a concert going on.
Of
You know,
course.
You can only be in so many places.
Back
at
to school
once.
night, we tried to do that, I wanted all the elementaries that aren't related,
Yeah.
meaning different sides of town, like you wanna have a kid there,
How we doing? We're looking at your agenda.
I was gonna say, let's do, I mean, who knows, I could make this like a 3-hour meeting if I wanted to.
One more thing and then I'm done.
So, just very briefly, and I'll sort of let you take the reins out
Sure.
of this, but we had discussed. Mr. Page.
She asked me something about Rossmore and Clearbrook with the concerts.
Yes.
And I said for her to ask you.
Yes.
Printout, I can hand it over because they are always, last month at high school had the concert, you know, with all the Indian dances and music
Yes.
and all that, it was all over the social media.
Right.
People went crazy and they contacted me, how come we don't know about it? Like a lot of senior people are not on social media, they don't have
Right.
Facebook,
That's right.
they don't hear that. Unless it's word of mouth, you know.
Mhm.
There's a printout, I can make
We
copies.
can make that happen. for sure.
And I can print out some mine.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Awesome.
So equipment, so this was something that came up, just in a conversation, essentially about residents, wanting to potentially, like, they have equipment in their house and, you know, they're not really doing anything with it. Sometimes people just throw things out. But there is an option for people to, provide donations to the school, which then can potentially become a tax donation for them.
Yes,
Which I know has been done like on an individual
yes,
occasion,
yes.
but, just,
Because I've been, if you don't mind, I've been taking donations for instruments and various art supplies, technology, automotive supplies, and there's a process for this, is that what you're asking for?
well, it's more About like making it more of a publicly available thing, Mr. Snyder.
Correct. So we've been very lucky, at least with instruments. We've been, over the past couple of years, about a year ago, someone actually donated a marimba to us. I mean, it was very generous because what'll happen a lot of time is their students will go, their children will go through our program here. They go to college and they want to give back, so they want to donate it to the district. And they've been incredibly generous. As Ms. Ratner said, it is, I believe, a tax write-off for them. So what we're talking about is sort of an easier access for them to do that, because a lot of times they don't even, I will get emails, what is the process of
Right.
doing this? So I think what Ms. Ratner's idea was, if I'm not mistaken, was to make a easy pathway if they were interested in doing that.
And I think also just like an outreach, of letting people know that this is something that, whether it's sporting equipment or technology, as you had mentioned. Because I think there are people who say, hey, I have this, I'd like to donate it to the school. And I think, Mr. Rallo, that's what you've sort of seen. If
Yeah.
someone reaches out, they have that ability to do it. But letting people know that, hey, don't throw out that, $2,000 French horn. It can be used in other ways, or whether, it's sporting equipment, someone has a bunch of hockey equipment that they no longer use, rather than, just submitting it somewhere else or throwing it out. There could be students that are able to utilize these things. And so I know when I was teaching, this was over a decade ago, mind you, we had done like a letter to the community that like, if they had any instruments that, that they were willing to donate, this would be an option for them. I don't know if that's something we want to look at both I guess, I'm not sure where the line is as to how much we would want to include, but I always feel like we have a very involved community who wants to, promote and support our district as much as possible. So I think that was sort of just the idea, is how can we let people know that this is an option for them?
For both instruments and athletics. So-
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say for athletics, there are certain things that we probably would be able to use, and some that we
We
wouldn't.
cannot.
Right.
Again, I'd say, definitely reach out to the athletic department and we can have that conversation
Yeah,
on a case-by-case
for sure.
basis. Sometimes we have student athletes who are in need, and if we have someone that we can provide for them, we're glad to do that. But, our.
We just have to, yeah, and he knows, and fortunately, he knows, I mean, you're the head of
Yeah,
one,
we have certain things that have to be certified.
Yeah.
That have to be.
like a helmet, like there's all different things, yeah.
But again, I'd be more than glad to have a conversation with them.
So I think what we can do is, I don't know if we can have an outreach like this, because then we wouldn't want the perception to be that we have a need,
Right.
respectfully, but at the
Right.
same time, we don't want to turn away anybody.
Right.
So I think that if anybody watches this, if you want to share it out there, when you feel you may have something that you can provide, we will absolutely welcome the opportunity to have the conversation, and we send it to the right individuals.
Correct.
Right, like, for example, like textbooks, we can't take them. You know what I mean? Like, there's different conversations, sometimes people want to give a computer, they mean well. I think you had a computer, we talked about it, Mr. Payne, I remember.
I had two, Kindles at that, because I had three of them actually.
And unfortunately, it doesn't always work.
Anybody wants
right.
one, I'll get
I remember you saying that though, but it doesn't always work. So,
So would the best thing be for them to reach out to the individual supervisor, or should they reach out to the community at Monroe? That way to keep it simple, and then I guess it can be
and then
forwarded
he would,
Yeah.
to the.
well, yeah, community at Monroe's the best.
Okay.
And then we can guide them. We recently just took some instrument. I think something else was donated. Was it you? Was it you?
Well, we had a family, very generous family, donate a 3D printer.
Yes, that's right. You
Yeah.
did tell me that.
Um, I believe the month before that, we sort of, there was a very lovely private citizen there donated some art supplies. And, we get it, we live in a very generous community.
Yes, I agree.
Particularly when it comes to the arts, and we have benefited greatly from the generosity.
Pass. So I think it's something that we can continue
Yeah.
appropriately.
No, for sure. And then
Absolutely.
Mr. Barandica and I will appropriately reach out to them and
That'd be
make
great.
arrangements if it's.
So we'll go through the community access,
Yeah.
which Mr. Geraldo controls, which is a good thing because you always want that.
And just as far as the process is, so it's not just so much as just, hey, here it is, drop it off. The board has to accept all donations.
Correct.
And we have to assign an estimated monetary value.
Yep.
because In many instances, they'll circle back and look for, proper documentation.
Sure.
They sometimes our donors get frustrated because like, we're trying to get, I said, I know, but there's projects like everything is, and sometimes it takes like 4 to 6 weeks, I don't know, but, so that's, but, we have like a standard form that they can And obviously, we're always going to help them in anything that they're going to help us with.
If there's equipment that, let's say, is too large for the individual to move, are they responsible for the transportation of getting it to the school?
Usually.
If there is a situation, let's say someone, I'm gonna say something, grand piano, someone was the
Right.
most outrageous gift in perfect condition, and we're so excited to have it.
Grand pianos, by the way.
Yeah.
But like,
I'll drive it up.
something that, there's been some times where we've worked with the donor,
Mhm.
but,
In general, we
I
ask
definitely
them
wouldn't
to
want to
deliver it, but
volunteer our,
Of course.
but if there was something that obviously would,
exciting, grand piano,
grand
or
piano.
grand baby piano.
Right, yeah. I
Might
would
have
just
to get a
thought,
helicopter
because
to bring it
those
to
can be
that group.
expensive, they can be expensive to move, so it
Yes,
could be, just a thought if somebody wants to donate it, they're like, well, I
Okay.
can't.
Might have to cut a hole in the roof. there.
No, I can't tell you how many people have
That's
wanted
what
to
they do.
donate, but they have no way of doing it,
Right.
with those large things, so it's a good point, so.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
Enjoy the concert.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For anybody that's watching, Woodman's concert is this evening.
7 p.m. Great, yeah.
It's gonna be great.
And we have our language, our
That's just.
ELA, language arts induction ceremony right out there.
There's so many honor societies.
There is a lot.
There's like one for each
Last
subject.
subject, yes, yes. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, we do a Latin.
All right, Mr. Van Duker, you are welcome to stay.
I'll pick up.
Okay, sounds good. So let's, move on.
We'll move around.
Yeah, so the first item was the legislative update, that was on here. Actually, I have very good news, that I just got. So little backstory, I had the legislative committee meeting this past Saturday, which, I had shared at our last board meeting, through New Jersey School Board Association. And one of our assembly people, it was Assemblywoman McCoy, actually was the, one of the two members that attended the event. So we had a chance, myself and the other members of that committee, to speak with her and ask her questions. And then for this committee, they have 2 representatives from each legislative district. So if you are the representative from that district, you get to be the first person to ask questions, which was really not good for them, that it was my district. But, so I was able to ask, a few questions. And, there was also Assemblywoman Katz, who I forget what district she's from, but she was actually a former Board of Education member prior to serving as a state legislator. Sure, yeah. Anyhow, so one thing they had suggested was to reach out to each of your state legislators, to meet with them and share with them, if you have issues in your district. So I spoke with Ms. Fabiano, who, said, go ahead and reach out. And I actually just received a response from Assemblyman Wayne D'Angelo that he would like to meet with us. And so it literally just came out. I reached back out to see, like, are there certain times of day or days that would work best?
Does he come here?
It seemed like he wanted to meet with us, but he didn't specify like
how or
if he
where.
would meet with us
Okay.
here. Because I also did send them the dates for this committee to see if they would like to come here. He had said he'd like to meet with the committee. So we, can talk about that more.
He might have specific needs.
Right, like how many people, where it is, we'll discuss that and what works best for us, because like summer is coming up, and I did just want to share that I had
That's
gotten
good.
this response. Yay. So, yeah, I'm glad, hopefully that is a start to, getting some help down there, which sort of brings into some of the bills that were discussed at the meeting, one being that they have a new bill, which is A4003, which Assemblywoman Katz, who was there, had spoken about, which establishes a school funding task force.
Darn
I feel like we've heard this one before.
Yes, but yeah, it's been mentioned.
Right, it's a new number, basically the same idea. I think the difference now is there are so many other districts that are anchored with the formula that there
Now
may
someone
be more
cares.
traction on this, which I guess is good for us. I really have to explain each time we're there that while I feel for these districts, there's other districts that have other problems, that even if we're not, losing money, like if you gain $2 instead of $1, it's still not a lot of money. So I just wanted to bring that up. I don't know if we want to adjust the letter maybe on the advocacy site, because I think it has the old bill.
Yeah, no, we're due for a refresh on there anyway, so that
So
would
it's
be.
A4003.
Yeah, There might be one for the Senate that, because they usually have like sister bills. I don't know for sure because
Yeah,
they were
for sure.
both assembly people.
We'll take a look and
That's why.
I'll come up with a draft and we can distribute it.
Okay.
Let's see, the other ones that came up, S530, it requires certain school meal information be provided to public school students, parents, and requires school district to request that families apply for school meal under certain circumstances. So this was something I don't remember exactly when we spoke about, but it actually has passed now. So it says that districts should either have parents fill out the lunch application, the free and reduced lunch application, or opt out of filling out that form, because you can't require anyone to fill the form out. But it's sort of, I guess, like some of the other forms that are on Genesis, I guess, where like you have to do something
Yeah,
with.
I will, I can easily, if you'd like, handle that with Mrs. Schaller,
Okay,
because I do hear what you're saying. The difference was we send it home and
great.
nothing happens and that's the end of it. Now, that this past, we could say, we're sending it home. If you choose not to fill it out, please sign this piece of paper.
Right.
So I can take care of that with her,
We
no
treat it
problem.
the same way as we treat the media consent forms.
Right.
Exactly. So we could take care of that. Is it, I wonder if it's still the old fashioned form with the,
Oh my goodness, I don't know.
The form?
Yeah.
It's online.
okay.
We do send them paper forms home, but we go to our school food services website, form is digital on there as well.
Good. So I can, that's not even an issue. I'll take care of it immediately and just let her know that this is passed and we need to do our due diligence.
And it's good that we learned about it now, because then we can have it in place for.
For
next
September.
school year.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so
And I think-
I already wrote my note.
Right, I think all the funding for that would come from federal programs
I
if
would
somebody is
imagine.
eligible, right? So it doesn't have a financial impact.
absolutely.
If anything, it might help us if there's a
Maybe,
higher number of students. Okay, let's see what else is on here. Oh, so A2784S2548, which authorizes school district to submit a separate proposal for additional spending for budget year as well as the subsequent budget year in November. So this is something we had briefly spoken about. Right now, as it stands, if you want to put a second question on your ballot, it has to be for that current school year. So you would start the year without those programs.
Which is a problem.
And then if it passes, you can add them. However, this would allow you to do this for the following school year. So one of these two, I can look it up, but one of them actually did pass. The other one, I think, is still in committee. But if it also passes, then I guess it goes to the governor, which I think would be very helpful for a number of school districts to then be able to like look forward and say, you know, we want to provide these programs instead of having to think, okay, well, we could start without them and then add them. So I just sort of wanted to share that. And then the last one, which,
It's interesting.
yeah, a representative from Tom's River actually had brought up because she had spoken to, I guess, her state legislator about it, which she said is actually going to be discussed in the, I forget if it's Assembly or Senate Education Committee, is lowering the age requirement of compulsory school attendance from 6 to 5 years old.
We discussed this, I think, last month.
Right. I don't know if this makes a requirement. I'm not sure if compulsory means
Yes, it does.
full day. It does.
Well, that full day. Compulsory means that your child is required to start matriculation in school at age blank. So right now, if you choose to put your child in kindergarten, that's your choice. 5 years old, that's what most of us will do it.
Right.
But if you choose not to, it's not compulsory. So compulsory means that they would be required, I'm not saying this is bad, I'm just saying
Right.
compulsory means that they'd be required starting at age 5.
Did they mention 5 by a certain date, like some districts have, you know?
Every day, and that's what's bad about New Jersey, every district has a
I
different,
know, because my grandson was October 30th and his birthday's the 23rd.
September 1st,
Yeah,
September 30th, New York's the 7/31st.
Conformity mentioned within that.
They have to work in conformity? No.
No, it said it would be nice if they would.
Right.
mention
Maybe it's
that.
on there. I don't know. I didn't read. the
That's
whole
this
thing.
pass?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. But it's, I think
October 1st is another-
definitely not because it's being discussed in the committee level. So it still has a little while.
And we have whatever, 621 school districts and everybody is living it.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
yeah. This district, the state should get on board
I agree.
together. And it should be one on everything, because if you're moving
Florida,
from one
right.
part of the state to another, you have a whole new thing to.
We've dealt with that actually we've dealt with children at different ages and different grades when they come to us from other states. We have.
Within your state.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody starts December 31st.
No,
New York
I
is
know
December
that
30th.
there's districts for students that have had to like review, I think, a certain grade, because depending on the age that they move, they were
Correct.
not eligible, and, you know, it would be good, and maybe even at least county-wide, I don't know, but
Yeah,
state would
even-
be even
even
better. Okay,
Okay.
so moving on to the delegate assembly recap, there was the delegate assembly on May 18th, I believe. Ms. Sharma was actually our representative at the delegate assembly. It was really quite a crazy first one for you to go to, because it was like a record number of resolutions that were discussed. So if you want to just like, I guess, share your experience there, we can sort of just quickly review what
I was
happened.
happy to attend. I met a lot of teachers, few board members from different districts. Introduced myself. They were happy that I was a new member, and everyone knows about Monroe High School. The name is on top. They were happy that you are a member there. But a lot of resolutions, because I'm new for the education field, mine is finance. So in the beginning, I was regretting, but I was regretting more that I should have been in education, because it's something. Yes. The only thing, when they were debating and discussing and talking about it, I had no clue, so I can't even judge if it should pass or it should not pass. So it was very interesting. I was there for like almost from 9 till 2 o'clock or something.
Wow. Usually have us out by 12.
I
so-
enjoyed the breakfast. I enjoyed meeting a lot of people. So the first experience was good, but it was not that I knew about everything, but I learned a lot about it. So maybe going forward, I will have more knowledge and explain more and talk about it. But thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So just like looking at the recap, it did look like a number of the resolutions did not pass.
Nice to-
It's not the norm, but again, there were a lot of them. So the resolution regarding special education tuition costs failed. The consideration of resolutions, which I think was from a district that was unhappy that their resolution wasn't allowed, failed.
Tom River was very popular.
The payment in lieu of taxes.
Failed.
Resolution failed. The resolution regarding kindergarten passed, which was exciting because the resolution committee did not recommend that. So the resolution, the delegate assembly actually went against the recommendation and passed this, which was exciting, because maybe that gives us a little
Right,
more.
because now it's the resolutions, so basically it's saying, yes, kindergarten, but not full day.
Right, that's why I said there was wording.
The wording was,
change
they
to that.
struck out the
Struck
word
out full day.
full day, which, I mean, I know that we want it eventually, but you also have to be able to inform.
Right, so I wonder if that would then require the district to pay for it, but, or not the district, the state. to
Well,
pay
that's
for
why
it.
they said it, did you see the resolution
Yeah.
say, but then until it's fully funded by the state to
Yeah.
meet the additional
Right.
needed facilities and staff.
They should include it, let the state fund it. Anyhow, so yes, that one was passed. I just lost my spot. The resolution regarding state aid, additional state aid failed, maybe because I think when the resolution was written, there wasn't that added bill that then provided that funding.
That we
anyhow.
didn't get.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. Intention of intent.
Oh, that was a very interesting, did you notice that? Because we just went to.
Yeah, in HIV cases, what the
Said
intent
what the
is.
intent, yeah.
It was referred to a
Or
committee,
committee.
which I've never actually seen that and that, I guess, that result before. The award limit on resolution, that resolution that was as presented was approved. This was regarding the different lawsuits for statute of limitations. Let's see, capital reserve accounts allowing districts to use that for transportation.
That was passed.
approved.
School cancellation was very interesting.
Yeah, there were some really interesting ones, and Plainfield and Tom's River, they did like a whole third of the resolution.
Tom River, yeah, even when I went to the, I guess, I don't know if I was in front of the Senate, they said, I guess the Assembly, they were right there in front of us.
Yeah. They're there, yes. So that one, was approved, which basically, says that virtual instruction should be allowed to count. Which again, none of this has been law, it's just that it gets put in the NJSBA policy manual, that is their position on these items if the legislature discusses them or brings bills up.
Which would be great, because we do have some situations where we don't want to be closed, but we don't really have a choice.
Right.
And we're always waiting, and we can't just, I don't have the authority just to make it a remote school day, it doesn't work that way.
Right. especially like you want to let kids have snow days, let them enjoy
Of
that.
course.
Then eventually,
What happens if you have 6 in a row?
right,
Like snowstorm.
But can I ask, do we have, I've been on here 2 years, never asked, do we have built-in snow days in Monroe?
Yes.
How many, 2, 3?
This year's calendar, I think we have one.
one.
Last year we had one also.
Yeah.
And that's it. We all, that, and then we only used one, and then the extra was President's Day.
Right.
I think it's gotten reduced, both
Haven't had snow.
because
Yeah.
for a while, there wasn't really a need for it.
Because I've been here.
And I also think that we try to observe more of the
The
different
holidays,
holidays,
trying very hard to
which-
accommodate everybody, it's very difficult.
right, which then reduces the amount of days that
Correct.
you can provide.
Right.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it was.
Let's see, just really quick. Dual enrollment, or not dual enrollment, dual language passed, use of artificial intelligence to create a policy for that
We
passed.
just had this conversation today.
Use of like schools as polling places to provide security
Yes.
if that is happening, or to close it, the school building that passed, which I know we've discussed, here as well.
And we only have it left out to schools.
Yeah, and then the other two passed, that was a database of state mandated policies, and different history and instruction. So, yeah, I mean, that, if anyone wants to look, it's public record, they
This
can
was
just
excellent.
Google it, but it does have that like little recap on each of them, because like, we only have 3 minutes left, so I wanted to,
That's what was there.
try to move,
I put cake on.
yeah.
I'm going to a school board's, it's a board member, since I'm a board member in Middlesex County, Saturday for a meeting. And they just sent us a thing today. It's on AI.
Hmm.
And they told us to go on and, go in and practice with AI. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how many times I called them to help me with the computer? I asked my 7-year-old grandson for something and he helped me.
Yeah.
So now I have to go on and practice AI.
Oh,
We can
wow.
discuss it at the meeting.
That's good.
It's very
Wait,
impressive.
I come here and I know more than you guys do.
Oh, you're gonna teach, you're gonna give us a professional
I'm
development.
doing a PD, yes, I'll get a date for next year. Dr. Lehman, I'll figure it out with you.
Just really quick, the only
No
other
board.
items on the agenda, one was the impact fee resolution.
You got it?
Oh.
We had created this, it's attached on this agenda. We had discussed this
Yes.
in the fall. But I think what would be best would be to submit it to our board attorney to verify the legal and the laws and like the dates of the different things. Yeah, I can send it to both of you, or I guess you have it,
I have
just
it.
to.
You want it? I have it.
We have it.
Right.
Backup.
Right, well, I mean, you can send it, to email it to Mr. Gagliardi
I
to
could
check.
PDF it to it.
Okay.
Whatever.
So if we wanted to move forward, just because it
God
is
bless
a
you.
relatively new committee, bless you.
No, it's good because sometimes you feel the wording is correct, but they know the legal nuances.
Right, so is that good with the rest of the committee to
I'll
send
take
that
care of that.
over?
Definitely.
Okay,
I thought it was
I
a
just
great. I thought it
Please
was
get it
great.
on an agenda to, as a board,
Yeah.
to approve it
Yeah.
before we can submit it to the.
Steve, would you like me to take care of it for Wednesday?
Um,
Or is it too soon? You want to wait till
I
July?
mean, we can wait until July.
I can
and
bring it
have on
back.
the Agenda, yeah, that's fine.
Right, I feel like we're gonna have a big agenda,
Oh, a very big agenda.
Delegate assembly.
September.
not until like October, so we have time.
Oh, we have time, so
We can look at what the actual deadline is.
Maybe send it to me, but I need to.
Yeah,
I
okay,
think it is up.
right, I'll check, I don't even know if they have it, because I recently looked for the county meeting dates, and it wasn't there last I checked,
They're
so
not up yet. I mean,
it's possible they're up
Karen
now, I
is-
didn't check.
They're doing them now because I might have them, because she sent them to me only because she looked at Monroe's and mine, because I have to be at the meetings.
Right,
No,
No.
being accommodated.
and then
She's
just
trying to accommodate me.
the final thing on our agenda, we sort of already discussed the active adult communication. With the idea of having a bagels with the board type event. I know that this has come up, in the past, but, the idea, which I don't know if you want to talk about a little bit more.
So we've talked about this previously, and we're just gonna keep it very brief, and continue the discussion next month. But, the goal is to be able to get not a quorum of the board, so 4 of us out into the community, once a month, maybe twice a month, just to go and speak. Not necessarily have us speak to community members, but community members speak to us. These are some of the things that are happening in the district, and, what are you hearing? What do you think is great? What are your concerns? And just try to get the community more involved and bring them into our discussion. So what that looks like is gonna be up for discussion, and how we get that out to, our active
Adult.
adult communities. Like, yeah, but like if we send out, if we want to reach out to, right, if we want to create, like recreate.
Well, for like, if you decide you want to go to like Regency on a certain date and time, then we could just directly.
Or
That's fine.
even if like Regency reached out, like if we sent something out, say like, yeah, would you like to sign up to have like a bagels with the board? Now granted, just to be clear, because there are legalities with it, we don't provide any of the food or anything like that. It's just, it's more of an opportunity.
And we don't bake.
No,
Not baking it.
we are just going out into the community.
Right.
So, right, no, nothing is provided by us except for our
Right.
being
But
there.
you're
to
willing
have
to
it.
come to you.
Right, exactly.
And
Bagels with the board is just the title
Sure.
of it, but we can obviously coin that to be more appropriate if bagels are not.
Done
going to be
in
an
print.
option.
Same way we ask people to sign up for referendum.
Right,
Right.
exactly. And I think that might be one of
How
the
about a
best
notch with
routes.
the all-knowing?
Yeah.
Break it down.
Yeah, break it down, like you break it down with the board.
That's cool. Snack time, school district. That's great. So yeah, we can discuss that a little bit more, but
Yeah.
it would definitely, be great to get out into,
Mhm.
it doesn't even have to just be an active adult community. Because, it could also potentially be a parent-teacher organization, like having, or well, maybe going into Jamesburg and speaking.
That when she was talking about it, when Amanda was talking about it before, I thought it'd be nice if we went down to Jamesburg, maybe at one of their board meetings or some type of meeting and speak to them also as a committee.
Right,
And also, I know a lot of the senior, adult communities are having summer events. I know there's a grill and chill in Rossmore in July. So maybe we can go there. And
Sounds
I don't know if you want to go there, and walk around and talk. They can announce that some of the board is there. If you have any questions, we'd be open to questions, things like
Right.
that. I don't know what they all have. They all have functions.
Yeah.
great. I guess we just have to also just check with Mr. Gagliardi as to like what we can discuss.
Yeah.
Because there is no quorum, but.
Yeah, there's no quorum. We're not making any decisions. It's more of listening to the community concerns. Thank you so much. And then bringing it back,
Right.
what is appropriate to discuss here.
Great, sounds good. We are 3 minutes.
Bagels and wine would be nice.
On that note, we're gonna close the meeting. Thank you all for being here. Have a great rest of the school year to everybody, and.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Buildings, grounds, transportation, safety will be starting soon.
Thank you.